If you have a new business or an existing business, but you're new to government contracting or you've been trying to figure it out for the last few months, maybe even the last few years, you may be doing this whole thing backwards. And I don't know if anybody's told you this, but you guys know that I'm the guy to kind of tell it like it is. So I do have some must-hear GovCon advice for 2022, but obviously this has pretty much been going on for, I would say, probably the last 5 to 10 years, and is certainly going to continue to go on as a problem in the space. And again, that's doing things totally backwards. So if you are new or existing and you're struggling in some form or fashion, you might want to check this out to see if you are one of the small businesses that are approaching this backwards. So number one, we have small businesses over here on the left-hand side. Maybe you opened your business in the last 12 months. Like I said, brand new, filed your articles of incorporation, got your EIN number, all that good stuff. And maybe you even registered this business for the sole purpose of getting into government contracting, right? Because you need to get registered in SAM, but in order to do that, you have to have a business that will become and form as your entity. So maybe you even did it for those purposes. That's how new you are, right? And the thing with this is, because you're so new, you may not be sure of exactly what you should be offering because you're like brand spanking new. And one of the number one questions from this avatar is, what's the best thing? What should I be offering? Where's the hot niche in government contracting? Like, Derek, where should I be? Okay, so this is, like I said, over here on the left-hand side, we'll just put that as option one. And then option two is existing businesses. So you're over here on the other side of the room. Maybe you've been around for 5 years, 10 years plus. You've, proven yourself. You've made it past the 2 to 3 year time period where most businesses fail. And you've made it. And in order to make it that far, you've had to fight it out and you've had to carve and fight your way in the space to kind of create your own little advantage. What makes you different, your own competitive advantage. And so that's allowed you to grow for 5 to 10 years plus in the space. And so you're super clear about what you have to offer. You have the service or services that you have to offer. And it's so much so developed that it is borderline, if not fully, narrow and extremely specific, because oftentimes that's how you carve out your competitive advantage, is by being so specific. Okay, so this is existing businesses. So we have new businesses that look one way, and we have existing businesses that look a totally different way. Both are coming to government contracting, to the federal space, to learn about sam.gov and how to bid on contracts and find them and win contracts for your business, right? You want to win contracts for hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe even for millions of dollars, for 1 year, 2 year, maybe 5 year contracts. That's why you're here. That's what you're interested in. And both of these avatars are interested in this. So here's what happens. The small business does not know what opportunities to go after on sam.gov because, kind of like I was just leading to, they are brand new. And so they have not carved out a niche or a service. I dare say even past performance, and just getting into even the contracting lingo also. You straight up have no experience. Maybe as an owner you did something for another business or another job, or maybe you're still a W-2 employee, or maybe you're in the military and you're transitioning, right? These are all the different small business things that come to a head at some point. And you're coming from different walks of life, but you're all coming to do the same thing. If this is you, and you don't know what to go after, and you don't even have an ability sometimes to perform, so you're even like afraid to go after contracts. This kind of holds you back. I don't know, Derek, this looks a little big. Maybe I should just go after like a $30,000 contract where you're going to make like no money, right? But then with existing businesses, this is where it really gets interesting, right? Because you would think, well, then, if you're an existing business, like it should be a slam dunk also. Not necessarily. Not from my experience that continues to grow and grow. The more conversations I have, the more clients I work with, the more that I see those who are getting results and actually winning contracts. I see it from new and existing. So one of the natural and obvious problems that come up for existing businesses is that they can't find their perfect opportunity to bid on. There are no perfect bids in SAM. So what happens with the existing businesses, because they've carved out that competitive advantage, they're very specific in what they offer. Then they approach SAM looking for a match for that, and they never find it. And they say, I can't find anything to bid on. Well, it's because you're too narrow, right? And then the small businesses, they're too open. So it's like, my God, like how is anybody even supposed to do this, right? Why is this happening? And there is a very clear answer for this. And I see it, and I can see it from that 10,000 foot view. This is happening because you all are not putting in the effort. And I'm not saying that you're like lazy or you're like not doing the things that you need to do. Maybe you just don't know. Okay, maybe you're getting too caught up in like the tips and the tactics and the strategies, and you're just skipping the whole fundamentals. Like you can't skip the core. So the problem again lies within not understanding your customer. So let's look at this. The reality here is, and the truth is that new and, like I said, and existing businesses can and are and will continue to perform on and win contracts in the federal space on sam.gov. New and existing. Okay, so this is a constant. This is a truth. There's new businesses winning all the time and existing businesses winning all the time. So there's nothing wrong with either of those. Okay, so we can all take a deep breath. Okay, that's fine. But with that being said, the one thing that they all have in common is the only ones who are going to be successful and are going to win and perform are the ones who know their customer. Time and time and time again, these are the businesses who are succeeding, and everybody else is kind of getting caught up in tactics and strategies and tips. If this problem sounds like you, there really is only one thing that you can do, and it may even be somewhat obvious at this point, but I'm going to just call it like it is and tell you. You need to study your customer, who at the most high level is the federal government agencies, right? Assuming you're not doing city, state, and local bids. So the US federal government is your customer. And you can easily study that by just working backwards in the right way, working backwards, following the breadcrumb trail of clues of what they are buying. And we're going to go more into this. This is not a long presentation. There's only a few more slides. But I hope this hits you, or is going to hit you in the right way to make you consider what you are doing. So are you doing this backwards? And I know I said backwards a second ago, but are you doing things like backwards, like the wrong way? And you are if, number one, you're making assumptions. So you're just assuming that the government is buying, say you're a new business, you're deciding that you want to do notary services. Notary services, I've actually heard this one a lot, right? I think there's even an NAICS code or a PSC code for that, right? So you should be able to build a whole business off of providing notary services to the US federal government on sam.gov. And you make that assumption so much so that you decide to build an entire business off of this one thing. What's going to happen with this is you may see notary services on sam.gov, but you're not going to see a lot of it. So the government's not buying it at scale. They're buying it. Everybody says, like all these people that try to, get you into whatever they have to offer. Or the U.S. federal government, they buy everything. And, it's, this billions and billions of dollars of industry. And, there's all this small business contracts. Well, here's the thing. Just like any other customer, the government has things that they need most of the time, and then they have some things that they need a little bit of the time, or that most agencies need, and then services that only a few agencies need. So if you're trying to build a whole business based off of the thing that's not needed very much, just because they're buying it, because they have a NAICS code for it or whatever, then you're going to run into this problem very, very quickly once you finally get serious about this, saying, I can't find what I'm looking for. Or like it's not here enough. Like I see something was awarded like 3 years ago, but so very quickly you run to the place of like, I can't set up saved searches. I'm not finding more than one NAICS code or one PSE code. The keywords are pulling up like 1,000 things that are not at all related to the thing that I'm going after. So I don't even have the raw material, Derek, if I wanted to learn how to bid to go after these. So that's no good. That's no good. If that's the case, then you want to offer notary services plus like 9 other things. And you can't just guess or throw darts on that. You need to study your customer. You need to learn what is on SAM. It's there. It's public. And we're going to go into this in a few more minutes. Like it's all there. You need to study it. You need to train. You need to get the repetitions in. This is the stuff that cannot be avoided with just some, tip, tactic, or strategy. Nothing replaces doing the hard work. And I've been saying this for 3 or 4 years now here on YouTube. But if you guys are making this assumption, and it's the same with expectations with existing businesses, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, right? We've been around, we have past performance, should be no problem. We expect that because our customers are buying it in the commercial space, we're writing quotes up all day. We do RFQs and RFPs in the commercial space too, Derek. We already have our write-ups. We should just be able to do the same thing, for the federal customer. But is the government buying that narrow specific thing that worked for you in the commercial space to fight it out, to become successful, to make it past that 2 to 3 year mark where most businesses fail? And now you're 13 years in, and now that whole thing is working backwards. Because that is not at all what works in the federal space, because that worked for your customer. But what's going to work for the US federal government? Okay? They're very clear what they want. You're just kind of refusing or resisting to realize that the way they want it is not how you provide it. So you are the one who has to pivot, grow, adjust, adapt, evolve to meet the needs of your customer, or you're not going to have a customer. And eventually you're going to burn out and you're not going to do this. And you're going to make up some conclusion. You're going to put a label or meaning onto this as to why this thing is broken. It's not broken. You're broken. You're broken because you have an assumption or an expectation, right? So what you need to do, as I was already alluding to, you need to let sam.gov tell you what you're going to focus on. You should spend an uncomfortable amount of time if you are at this stage and you're like, yep, Derek, you got me. This is me. I'm new or I'm existing. And, I'm guilty of making assumptions or having an expectation. And now I realize that's why I'm not making the traction that I want to make. Okay, if this is you, then your next steps, your solution, your prescription is to spend an uncomfortable amount of time learning SAM. Now, I don't mean like learning like these are the filters. No, I mean going through page after page after page after page. Maybe you just start using no filters, pure manual search, seeing what is the government actually buying. Just read the titles, change the filter to 100 per page. You're going to have many, many pages to go through. There's tens of thousands of listings up right now. So you need to start to recognize for yourself and your business the patterns, the repeated things that the government is buying, so that you can see what this is really going to look like for you, because now you're starting to understand your customer, okay? And then, again, I'm not saying you have to do only manual searches. You can definitely use keywords, NAICS codes, PSE codes, things here to begin to hone in. But I'm saying if you just have no clue, well, you need to get a clue and you need to start somewhere. And you don't want to make assumptions or, have expectations just because there's one NAICS code for notary services. I can tell you straight up, that is not a business. It's not a business in the federal space that you're going to win many, many contracts over and over again to be able to sustain and build your business just off of only notary work. And there are many clients and people that I hear from that unfortunately are coming to me with that. And I'm like, dude, it sounds great what you have to offer. It really, really does. But I just know it's not going to be a viable business model for you in the federal space. I can't even work with you because what you're saying you want to show up and do, we're not going to be able to find enough bids for you to go after. And therefore, it's going to be hard for you to get enough repetitions into learning the bidding process. So you need to not be like so narrow. So remember this, I'm sure we've all heard this, the 10,000 hours to master anything. I don't think I know that I'm not at 10,000 hours, even starting back, 8-9 years ago when it was, FedBizOps, FBO.gov. I know I've spent thousands of hours on SAM and reading through solicitations. I don't know if I'm at 10,000 hours yet or not. I think maybe I'm probably somewhere in the middle. I've spent a lot of time going through this, and I'm pretty darn good at it. But how much time have you spent? And so the problem becomes that we spend 10 hours, 20 hours, 30 hours. It's still a drop in the ocean compared to the amount that is really needed to truly start to understand the customer. So again, we find ourselves attracted to things like, tips, tricks, and strategies, because that must be what you're doing wrong, why you're not gaining traction, when in reality, it always comes back to the same thing, which is we are not learning the fundamentals and we are not giving that the majority of our time. So instead, what I see time and time and time again, and what I've been a proponent of for quite a long time now, is instead taking a systems approach where the efforts that you're taking are revenue generating, revenue focused, instead of chasing the shiny objects, as I say a lot. Your activities are predictable, they're scalable, and they are able to be continuously improved upon. That way you can, steer the helm and just dial in your systems, because every system gets whatever result it's currently getting, or in other words, every result you're getting is perfectly designed from a particular system. If you want to change the results you're getting, you just need to change the particular system. So we all operate from systems whether we know it or not, which is why I'm a big believer in them. And then as you continue to dial that in, you get to actually get in the game finally and play the numbers game, get 1% better every time, do all these things that we hear and we know that we should be doing and implementing in our business, right? But we are being stopped, or we're not even able to begin to get the traction because of things like what we discussed in today's video, today's training, talking about, hey, you could be a new business or an existing business, but there's one thing in common between either one of these for those who are successful in making it and those who are staying stuck and not. So I hope this speaks to a number of you, and we will wrap it up for today. But if you're new here, we have a number of new members joining the channel. Welcome. We do lots of trainings like this. I try to kind of mix it up. If you have any questions about today's training or comments or things that you would like to cover, put that in the comments and I will read those and consider those. And if we have anything popular enough, maybe I'll make a video about that. And also, if you are new here, consider subscribing, because we are the fastest growing YouTube channel, woohoo, on YouTube for government contracting. So until next time, guys, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.